That shit happened. What they do, they hire the black coach, have them tanking to get those high draft picks.
Bring another coach in.
Fire the black coach, hire the white coach. Then next thing you know, we winning. Well, shit, you had the goddamn top draft pick in the last 3 years. You get Baker Mayfield, goddamn, you get Landry, you get all the other good ass goddamn players. Next thing you know, you're winning. Then they can say, "Oh, we won because of the white coach."
Turn the program around.
We was losing because of the black coach. You know, They ruined the reputation and they tarnished the reputation
of the
black coaches to do, you know, Sunday white.
Well, you saw where Hugh Jackson said it? I saw that too. Okay.
Right.
You know, this about to come like the new Me Too movement. Everybody,
I was about to say this is Martin Luther King right now.
Yeah. Hey. I feel you. Hey, Fred, hold on one second, Marty. Hold on 1 second. I got my partner, man. Dwayne on here, man. I want him to jump in something.
What's up, fellas?
Yeah,
What
my partner is D-Rob, my partner Wally.
All right, man. What's up, everybody?
Dwayne, what you think about the Flores situation, man?
I give him credit for stepping up to do it. I just don't necessarily know if it's going to change anything or whatever, one way or the other. I think anytime that you are the labor, that's what you are. That's how your bosses see you as labor. Even if you are unionized, there's just some things they're not going to negotiate. I just don't technically see anybody being able to tell a millionaire who he can hire and who he can't, because at the end of the day, it's his team or her team, so to speak. I think even with the stuff that I heard y'all talking about with the brother in Cleveland that's at Grambling now, he said he brought it up. You know, he said he tried to tell somebody the NFL. He said he has documentation of this thing as far as getting paid to lose. He has documentation, but the NFL didn't want to hear it or whatever. But I think anytime you're in that situation, my thought is when you sign a contract, you got to know what you sign up for. You got to know that most of the time you ain't gonna change no system from inside. I don't care what nobody tell you one way or the other. You're not gonna change from inside, especially if you are part of the good old boy system. It's no different than a country club, a golf club. You got to understand that you have a role there, and a lot of it is the labor. You're not giving no instructions or anything like that in a situation, because this is another thing. You have to understand that behind the quarterback, the coach is the face of the franchise. And most teams don't have a quarterback. So the coach is the face of the franchise. So not too many of those individuals want a black face representing that franchise. And it shouldn't shock anybody, because any other Fortune 500 billionaire type of company that's making that type of money, a lot of them ain't got a black face either. So this is just another picture of how society really is. My thing is this, and then I'll be quiet. You know, when Kaepernick was doing his thing, a lot of times people were saying, well, we ought to boycott the Super Bowl, boycott the NFL. The consumer can never boycott, so to speak. Because when you really look at it, you have to look at it. Maybe it happened one time for us that really got some legislation. That was the Montgomery boycott. but it ain't enough planning going into it like it was now. The only way that the NFL will cease to exist in the situation in which it does is if the players boycott the season until we get some act right. Because if that's the point, then the consumer, us, there is nothing to watch on Sunday. Think about when football season is over the week after next. Sundays from 12 to 9 o'clock at night, ain't nobody gonna be paying attention to no football. You know why? Because ain't nobody playing football. It can work the exact same way from August to February. Well, I understand all that, but I'm just saying, when you start talking about getting some act right, the only time those companies go, they ain't producing enough is when the people that work for them is striking or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's the way you can get some act right. I applaud Flores for bringing light to it. I don't think it's going to have a whole lot more situation as far as, I don't think it'll be any different than the Kaepernick thing or whatever, so to speak. It'll have its buzz. They'll find out what they find out. The NFL got a whole lot of money. It is a company issue. It's not even a societal issue, so to speak. It's a company issue. So, I mean, if it happens, great. I just don't think it's going to happen because you got to know what you're getting into once you sign up for it.
Go D-Rob.
I think Coach Jackson had enough pull. If he said something about it, it would have been heard. Because if Flores just said it, it's loud and clear to the world right now. It should have been loud. So then I'm gonna say this, and my man Dwayne made some great points. But just like the Sacramento Kings coach came out and said the stuff that he said, and you see what they did to him. Got it? No, the fans can't stop it because we as fans are in groups like we are tonight. So yes, the players must initiate the stuff. But like when Kaepernick did his thing, he didn't have the star power on the other stars around him to make a stand. And even when they realized that Cap had a point after all the damage was done, he was done. So when I say about Flores, got it. But who want to hire him now because what owner want to hire him now because he just snitched on his other owner? Nobody's coming into the league for a coaching job planning to take an L. Does that. You plan to win and do your best because your name is on the line. So my thing is this: until I really don't see it happening no time soon, because like I said, this is kind of like the civil rights movement. But until it's a level playing field, and it won't be level because they're always a couple steps in front of us because that's how life is right now for us as a people. We will not have a fair chance to have that same job that we're qualified for than that man who ain't got to worry about nothing is qualified for.
Go ahead, Shot.
I got a few different points here, man. First things first with this Kaepernick thing. Kaepernick lost a lot of people when it was time for him to speak. He didn't say anything. He didn't give anybody any okay, you got our attention. Now what's the next move?
What's the move?
He didn't want to be. Apparently, he said he didn't want to be the leader of a movement, but you are now. You got the responsibility now because now you have our attention, and you didn't give us the next step. So that's where he lost me, and now I was totally gone when they set that doggone interview up on everything he was wanting to do. Go work out. We got all these teams come out to see you. You go to a high school to work out. Like, come on, man. I've been in business a long time. If I got a job I'm trying to hire for it, and I want you to come over to the Taj Mahal to interview with me. You can't call me at the last minute and say, "Hey, dog, come meet me at McDonald's and interview." Come on, man. No, you come over here with an interview with us. Come get the job over here. But I don't want to talk about Kaepernick because that's a totally different thing. I'm gonna go back to something Dwayne said. What's up, my boy? How you doing, man?
I'm
pretty good. I gotta disagree with a little bit, but one thing you said, I thought I heard you say. You said you can't change it from the inside because of the you're part of a system. I think you can change it from that side, but you got to make small changes at a time. You can't make these big changes because now you're bringing too much attention to yourself. You just like Andy Reid hired his son. Nobody really knew about that until the boy got in trouble. You don't see little stuff like that they don't want to somebody bring attention to themselves. I can have a whole company, and I may say, you know what? I know Dwayne do this over here. I know Hood do this. I know Freddie J do this. I might bring some other people in that the company wants there, but I'm gonna bring some guys in that I know as well. I should be responsible for my coaching staff. You give me the job, I work for you, they work for me, even though we're all under this organization. That's how I manage. My district manager can't talk to my employees about any kind of reprimand. You reprimand me if they ain't doing their job, and I'm gonna reprimand them if they're not doing the job. So I work for you. I'm your direct employee. You deal with me if the numbers ain't right, and then I'll examine it to see, hey, what's going on here. So I feel like those coaches have been in these positions. I can say Anthony Lynn, Raheem Morris, Mike Tomlin. I can go on and on and on. You can't name 2 black coaches that they hired. I said D-Rod earlier. Tony Dungy has a whole big coaching tree of black coaches. I totally respect that. I thought he was running to the Tampa reason, but he was still all black coaches and all these position coaches that are black. That to me, man, said a lot about the man he is. And I wish that more black coaches would take him out of the hey, you know what? I might not be able to hire this guy my team right now. Let me let him prove it. Let me let him prove it the best team. Because you take all the guys who really don't know are getting these jobs. But nobody's talking about them until they get promoted. Then they get another promotion. Before you know they go to OEC, probably not for the team that hired them. And that's all I want to do is let these black coaches start doing small things and let's see some color on that sideline. Bruce Arians had that job in Tampa and what brought in a woman, brought in 2 black coordinators, brought in so many different people. That was his objective. That was his objective, to bring in diversity. And that's what I think that more of these black coaches need to do. Stop being so afraid to lose your job and stand for something. Stand for something, man. If it ain't about the money, Flores, why the hell did you fire somebody black if it's not about the money for you? Don't make this big ass thing about how bad it is, and you were part of it. You were not part of the solution when you had an opportunity. When you had an opportunity to make a change, you didn't. Period. And Stephen Ross has his whole initiative where he gives money to all these black organizations. He's a very, very good owner as far as helping minorities. So you had no reason not to hire somebody black, man. Hire a woman. Hire somebody, bro. Aside from these white folks. Right.
Go ahead, Buck.
Man, look at I think everybody making some real good points here, but right. I'm trying to be political, dog. Come back to me, Moon. I got some more.
Let me say this real fast. Let me say this. Real talk. If anybody right now honestly tell me if they were coaching and their owner told them lose a game, $100,000 each game we lose, would you say something during that moment?
Why? I sent this message to Sean earlier. I said I'll be $1.6 million rich.
That's a damn shame. Go ahead, Dwayne.
I wouldn't say nothing. Real talk. I mean,
Go ahead, Dwayne.
No, I was just gonna say that the point about the brothers getting the job and not necessarily hiring anybody that's black or whatever. My thought process when it comes to that is, number one, they may not have the same cachet as Bruce Arians, to Shy's point, to come in. Number one, Bruce Arians is white. Number two, he's been a head coach before. With these guys, I mean, I think it was 3 black coaches they said when the Rooney Rule was implemented. It's only 1 now. You had the guy in Houston, you had the guy Flores. But with Anthony Lynn, it's almost like being in a situation where you're the only black person in the room. Your whole mentality, even if you think about it now, is I don't want to mess it up. So let me get in here and see how it goes, so to speak, before I start making all these type of changes. Because it took hell of high water for me to even be here. Now I'm gonna come in and bring the whole entourage with me or whatever. I just don't necessarily think that it works. Me personally, I just don't necessarily think it works that way when you are in the minority when it comes to the whole coaching situation, so to speak. I think
How many years do you have to coach, Dwayne? How many years do you have to coach before you start bringing in your people?
I think you can. I think it's the same amount. It's any other place or any other position or whatever. Look at any job, any profession where there's black leadership, and I think that goes across the room or whatever. I think the only way you are able to do anything as far as the change that we were talking about is you have to get your own. Period. That's the only way you're gonna be able to run it like you want to run it. Anytime that you got to look over your shoulder and know that if I mess up, that I'm going to lose. The guy in Cleveland that's at Grambling, Hugh Jackson, he got a contract extension the last year he was there, and they fired him after 8 games. Now I don't know if he took the money. I don't remember him saying that he didn't take the money. I don't know if he did or not, but I do know that year he got a contract extension, and he only lasted 8 games. You understand what I'm saying? So when you start thinking about that type of situation, to where number one, now I don't necessarily know if any white coaches having that same pressure, lose games so we can get money or whatever. But there are 2 black coaches who's been fired within the last 2 or 3 years, kind of echoing the exact same thing. And I heard y'all speaking on when I got there that we're going to use the black coach as the fall guy to get more draft picks and that type of thing. I don't necessarily know if any other coach has to go through that type of thing as far as that, because if they're going to approach me in that situation because I'm black and not necessarily approach these new white guys coming in doing the exact same thing, then that tells me already that I'm on the clock one way or the other. Now I get it. If I'm on crash,
I don't believe in
out,
nothing.
You know what, though, man?
I think the white folks just taking the money and not saying it. Black folks,
it's easy for us to say that. But at the same time, it's kind of like what everybody was saying earlier. This is what I was going to go to earlier. It basically got to be up to these players to say enough is enough. Because, like right now, with this is a poor example, but the little Ice Cube League. If major NBA players start saying, you know what, I'm done with y'all, I'm going to go play in Ice Cube League, where the viewership going to go? It's going to go where the talent is. Now, NFL don't really have nothing like that. So it's a little bit more of a money issue. But there are black people with money that can start small and see the bigger picture. And say, if I can get 3 players to come, then next year I can get 10 players to come. Then after that I can get 20 players to come. Now, but I say it is a money issue because, first of all, you don't have to have these players saying, you know what, I'm going to take a little bit less money. And what they're not going to do is take less money. I'm telling you right now, if Jay got an NBA contract, I'm like, nah, nigga, that ain't for you to do. That will really be my thought process. I will really have to think about that. So it's harder than what we think. Yeah, can the players make the change? Yes, but that is a hard change to make. I mean, it's going to take a lot of players to make that change.
Let me jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been sitting here listening to a lot of things, man, that y'all been saying. I'm agreeing with just about everything y'all coming with, man. But there's a couple issues. My man Dwayne, he came with a lot of stuff, man. A lot of good stuff. I had to come back with Mike Tomlin, I think, has the cachet to say to his ownership group, I want to hire this guy. I want to hire this black guy or this black guy. Has he done it? I don't know. He hasn't done it for one reason or another. Maybe he just say, well, I think this coordinator is a better coordinator than this black coordinator. But I think he has the cachet to give these opportunities to those black coordinators. And to this point, he has not done it. Okay. As far as the changes go, there's gonna have to be some changes in the ownership. This is a good old boys club, man. This is a good old boys club, and these are billionaire owners, not millionaires. These are billionaires guys that nobody can say what they can and cannot do. The owners run the league. Roger Goodell is ran by the owners. Roger Goodell's bosses are the owners of the teams. So Roger Goodell cannot say, hire this guy, hire this guy, hire this guy. So it's a difficult situation, man. We got our backs against the wall. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It's going to has to be some changes in the ownership, because nobody's going to tell some 60, 75-year-old billionaire who he can and who he cannot hire as his coach. Now, when it comes down to the hiring, not the hiring, but the pay to win and lose, $100,000 is not enough for me to tank a game. You know what I'm saying? You're already making money. Coaches, NFL coaches making millions of dollars already. $100,000, that ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? $100,000 for you to risk you and your integrity, the rest of your coaching career. That's what you're doing. You're risking the rest of your coaching career for $100,000 a game. I'm not gonna do that. You're already making $5-6 million a year. Shit. What's a goddamn $100,000 a game? Okay.
1.6 bucks in.
Fine. But man, it's more difficult of a situation that we're willing to acknowledge. These billionaire owners are running the league. They still running the league. They're gonna run it until they die off, and then we get some